Good morning. This is Maria Quattrone with Saturday's Q&A. I'm excited today to welcome Sheri Cole from The Wardrobe, a nonprofit here in the Philadelphia metro market. And Sheri is the executive director. Very, very excited to speak with you today. Sheri, welcome.
Thanks so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yes. Well, I want to get right into it about the wardrobe. When I spoke with you about a month ago, we had that Zoom. I said I was involved back in the day when it was career women's, what was it? Women's
Career wardrobe.
career wardrobe. And it was,
Yes, we've been through a couple of name changes.
and so that's what I knew it as. And
Mhm.
then I found out all this great information about what you do today, which is more different than what you did back then. So I thought it would be a great opportunity today to talk with everybody about the organization and what you do and how people can get involved.
Wonderful. Thank you. Well, let's start there. Some of your viewers and listeners might remember us as the Working Wardrobe. That was what we were founded as in 1995, specifically to provide professional suits to low-income women who are transitioning off of welfare and going into jobs for the first time. And then we sort of broadened our mission to call ourselves the Career Wardrobe around 2000. And the goal there was to provide more than just suits for a job, but really to help women in their career journey, if you will. And we started to provide some professional development, helping women to understand that first job might just be exactly that, their first
For
job, their
sure.
entry into the working world. But now they needed to think about step two, which is where their career and their long lasting financial independence was going to come from. And then, that little thing called COVID hit. And what we saw throughout the pandemic, sort of in between, we had started to provide services for men and have menswear as well. And that was really precipitated by the women we were helping saying, there's nothing like this for my father, brother, uncle, son. What about them? And where can we tell them to go? And so we started to provide menswear. And then during the pandemic, what we saw is really a need for just general clothing for people. We all know that the world of work as we knew it, if you're in a professional position, has really changed a lot. And that's true for everybody from your entry level job seekers all the way up, to your lawyers and doctors and stuff. We're all working differently now, and the clothing that we need to support that also has changed. So now we're just called the Wardrobe because we broadened our mission to be generally eliminating clothing insecurity.
So before it was more business, it was women's business clothing. When
Right.
I was involved back in, I guess it was the 90s,
Right.
because I brought suits that either I grew out of or grew into. No, I don't have, they didn't fit either way.
Didn't matter. Didn't matter. No judgment.
A lot of suits went over there. Piles.
Piles of suits.
But now it's clothes for everybody.
Right. So really anything, I often hear from our clothing donors, this is the wardrobe pile and this is like the Goodwill Salvation Army pile. And I'm going to bring you this, professional stuff. What, if nothing else, if people will remember after our conversation today that we have a desperate need for menswear. So if you have men in your life or folks who have men's style clothing, please clean out their closets for us as well. And we need casual as well as professional wear. We're seeing a large increase in people who are coming to us as their first stop after they leave jail. So who are coming back into our society after serving their debt. And they need everything. We also see a lot of people who are coming through domestic violence situations, who might have experienced homelessness, who just need, now they have a place to go but they need clothes to fill their entire closet. And that's sort of what we mean when we say we're helping to eliminate clothing insecurity is, what is it that you need to fill your closet that's going to make you feel, quote unquote normal again, that's going to, support your independence and whatever your next step in life is.
Well, clothing is an important thing, not just because you need to wear it, but
Right.
the way that it affects your psychology. I know when I put something on that's really nice, right, I feel
You feel
beautiful,
different. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then when I'm wearing like rippity clothes, which I really don't, but let's just say, like more, we wouldn't leave the house clothes,
Right.
as I would say, it does. It's a different mojo. It's a different feeling, and I guess there's a lack of awareness around how many people actually need clothes. I
It's
think
it's
that,
cool. Yeah.
yeah,
Like
I
a,
mean,
a lot of the people we help will have no idea what their size is. And you think, how can that be? Like we all have a general sense of, when we're going into a department store or even Target, I'm going to go to this end of the rack or that end of the rack, right? Imagine not having had the resources to go to a store, you know, and find something that fits you and try it on, or not being welcomed in that environment too. We serve a lot of people who are experiencing homelessness, and you know in their surveys at the end of their appointment, they say things like, I was treated like a person for the first time.
wow,
It's what we call our star treatment, styling, time, advice, and respect. Everybody who comes through our doors, no matter what their situation is greeted with that, because we're all human. We all have a need. And the need that we can provide for them is not only the clothing, but the dignity that comes from knowing you have something to pick out of your closet that's going to make you feel like yourself, whatever that might be.
it's interesting that you just said that people don't know their size.
Yeah.
I find I'm curious about
Right.
that.
Right.
How how's that possible?
Because it's been so long since they've
Worn like
worn, like
bought
purchased
anything?
something on their own or gone into a store on their own. You know, if you think about, it's most stark to me when I'm helping somebody who's come out of incarceration. So there was a study done several years ago that men tend to lose weight in prison because they're really, encouraged to work out and like have exercise as something that they do all the time, right? And then women tend to gain weight in prison, because they're just not encouraged to do that. They're encouraged to be more sedentary, and the food there isn't the best, all that kind of stuff. And so when we're working with somebody who's come out of prison, they might be, well, I was, a medium when I went in, but I've been wearing essentially a
A
jumpsuit or
jumpsuit.
scrubs, that
Me
somebody
too.
handed me. Like there's been no size to. And similar, if somebody's been experiencing prolonged homelessness as well, they might just be, given the t-shirt and that's the t-shirt they're going to wear, like whether or not it fits well. So having that styling appointment where you get to come in and, our stores, first of all, they look like stores. They are stores. They're functioning resale stores. So you and I can come in and shop alongside somebody who's getting the exact same inventory for free, because they qualify for our services. And they are a high-end boutique. Everything is well merchandised, and get to pick what you want to try on. If it takes you an hour to try on, 5 different sizes and outfits until you find the one that looks great, awesome. We're going to help you to do that. No judgment. And that, with that level of customer service, I encourage people to think about, if you've ever had the opportunity to go to a high-end department store, a Neiman Marcus and Nordstrom, someplace where people are really paying attention to you and what you need, that's the level of service that people get at the wardrobe, no matter why they come to us.
Wow. How special is that?
It really is. It's very empowering. I don't use the word empower lightly, because everything has to start with meeting somebody where they are, and getting them then what they need. And clothing, I often think of is, it's very essential, but it's also the hook to what often will help people move to the next stage of their life. Like the number of people who have come out of a dressing room and, well, my favorite sort of recent exclamation from a client was, he came out of the dressing room, looked at himself and said, I feel like Clark Kent turned into Superman. Like, can I wear this outfit home because I want my kids to see me in it? Like the number of case managers, when somebody has come back to the program that sent them and said, I literally didn't recognize this person because she looked so different and carried herself so differently in her new clothes from the wardrobe. Like, that's just a special thing that I think often, we can take for granted.
100%. You can't put a price tag on that.
No. And we don't, which is very important.
Yeah, you don't, right. I would imagine that it's very difficult to get a job, or start a career, re-entering, the workforce with not the proper clothing, even to go to an interview.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like, anybody who's listening or watching who has, hires people for entry-level positions. My nephew started out in the McDonald's, was a McDonald's, worker when he was in high school and stayed with it, and now has just been offered his first store as a GM. And I think I talked to him a lot about like what he's looking for when people come in and apply for jobs. And you think, oh, a job at McDonald's, anyone can do that. Well, anyone can't do that. You have to be able to, take direction and work with people and be okay working with people. But on top of that, you need to present yourself in such a way that someone's going to take a chance on you, knowing very little about you, right? And so even if you're walking in to pick up a job application at a place like McDonald's, going in, if you're a man with a collared shirt and tie and khaki pants, makes all the difference on how somebody is going to perceive you. That like 5-second rule that you make your judgment about somebody within the first 5 to 3 seconds of meeting them is
so
true.
true. It's so true.
Yeah.
I've interviewed so many people. We have a scholarship program, and I just literally, if they weren't dressed appropriately to come into an office for an interview, they were checked off the list,
Right.
No matter what they said. But I don't know that you would be surprised. Many people might be surprised by the way people come in. Not sure if they don't have somebody to tell them that they shouldn't wear jeans with holes in it and half shirt.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of it. Yeah, that's definitely part of it. If you think about, we work with a lot of families and people who we're talking about intergenerational poverty, right? Like folks who, whose mom or dad might have been in the criminal justice system, might have, lived themselves in poverty, never had quote unquote office job, a professional job. How, like thinking back on it, I use this story a lot too. How did you first learn what was appropriate to wear and to act in an environment? I had the good fortune of having parents who were professionals. Neither of them went to college. I was the first person in my, entire family to go to college. But they didn't have that experience to give to me. But I used to work summers, answering the phones at the office that my mom ran. And I had this clear memory of like 10-year-old Sheri thinking it would be really funny if I answered the phone by whistling instead of saying hello. Like that was going to be awesome. That was going to be a lot of fun for me.
Sure, that went
And
over well.
and I did it, and I have never heard my father yell as much as he did the time I did that. And I learned, oh, I guess, why isn't it okay to answer the phone whistling? Whistling's fun. Who doesn't like whistling? But like that's a story I come back to because it's like, oh, that's how I learned to say, oh yeah, you have to say hello. Like that's how you properly answer a phone. Like kids don't grow up knowing these things. And so, yeah, they see what their peers wear and get away with, maybe their teachers wear and get away with. And those are the styles of the day. And there's been no one to really tell them, no, this is what you want to wear when you want to present yourself in a different way. I
I think
often
it's no, go ahead.
No, I often think of it as the uniform you need to get a job, the
Exactly.
uniform you need to get that scholarship. So it's not what you're going to wear every day, but it's what you're going to wear when, like, I have outfits even in my closet that, like, will sit there, 11 months out of the year and I'll wear once because they're my special. I'm meeting with somebody who wants to, support us and give us money. This is the outfit I'm going to wear, like, but when I'm just going in to work with my team and everything, I'm probably wearing leggings and a sweater, like there we know how to. I often think of it too as code switch, like you have your professional you have your, going out to a concert you have your dinner with friends you know we all have different hats that we wear, different outfits that we wear that make us feel differently. And, you know, that's something that we're able to teach, especially young people, that, it's okay to have a different face, if you will, or a different outfit that makes you, feel and appear different to the world. That's part of how you're going to get ahead.
I think starting out in the beginning, the whole idea of a uniform
Yeah.
is a great idea. We talk about it at the office all the time, especially with training new agents. Have certain things that you're going to wear, especially younger people, at
Mhm.
5 outfits, one a day, Monday to Friday, and don't have to think about it. Don't have to, these are like young people, right? So even myself, I have like a standard type of clothing that I wear. Actually, I think all my clothing is the same now. I go
It
from
has
night to day.
shrunk.
In real estate, it's like it's an interesting career because you're always in real estate. Like I'm in real estate all the time. It does never ever stop,
Hmm.
and you have to like intertwine it in your life. Unfortunately for me, it's what has become my life a lot, trying to be able to intertwine things more again. But I like to have certain things and to wear, and I don't have to think about it because it's one less thing that I have to make a decision about.
Oh yeah, there was an interview back during Obama's administration where somebody asked him, tan suit aside, um, why he always wore, I think he always wore like blue and gray or something like that. And his answer was he could only have things hanging in his closet that he knew went with one another because that was one less decision he had to make.
Absolutely.
And when you are somebody who makes a lot of decisions, a lot of important decisions, hemming and hawing over what matches in your wardrobe is not one of those things. I also wanted to mention when people come to the wardrobe, they get 6 pieces of clothing plus accessories and shoes. And that's so we can help them create what we call a capsule wardrobe in fashion. So you have 6 pieces that intermix with one another and mix and match with one another. So you'll have a couple professional top pieces, some bottoms, and then maybe like a dress or a sweater or a blouse. So that with those 6 pieces, we have a great graphic that our wardrobe box manager put together to show like sort of how many outfits those 6 pieces can make. And I think it's something like 18 or 20 outfits just with like those 6 pieces. So that's part of also what we're teaching folks is that, folks can come to us 4 times a year, meant to be each season, and get a capsule wardrobe for each season. And that should really set them up for the clothing that they need, to get them into that next season. So it's a lot that we're providing them, the styling, the advice, plus the physical clothing.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
That's a lot of outfits.
It is. It's amazing. I am not the fashionista on staff, so but when they told me, these 6 pieces, we actually did a training for staff where everybody had to pick 6 pieces and then figure out how many outfits they could make, and I was just amazed because I'm your basic black, gray, like very little color in my wardrobe because I know they'll all go together kind of person. But they were picking these wild prints and I was like, no, there's no way you're going to make that work. And, darn if they didn't.
That's great. That's a great tool to be able to do and take that small amount of clothing and actually make it into 18 things. I don't know that I could do that, but I digress. We won't talk about it. We won't talk about
that'll be something else. Well,
that'll be another conversation.
Yeah.
So tell me what the wardrobe, I know the wardrobe is lacking in men's clothing, all men's clothing.
Right.
And there are how many locations now? 5?
Yeah, I have to count them in my head. 6 actually. Yeah.
Okay. So does any one particular location need more than other? Do you have a hub?
Right. Philadelphia really acts as our hub. It's our largest location and has the most storage. So really, we take most of our inventory in Philadelphia. Delaware County, we're in Upper Darby and Lansdowne. We're sort of on the dividing line there. And then in Chester County, we have a site in Exton and Kennett Square under the name Wings for Success. They're our partner in Chester County. So those are the 4 places where we accept donations. You can find them all on our website, wardrobepa.org. And so any inventory or any donations that come into those sites get sorted for what we need as a whole. And then we're able to kind of move it to the location. But generally all of our locations need the same type of clothing. So we do some transporting around, but not really as much as you might imagine. Yeah. And then anything that we can't use, we work with a recycling partner who ethically recycles it. So either, if it really has no usable value anymore, think of your used socks, other things that find their way into the donation bag that maybe you didn't expect to be in that donation bag, but it ended up there anyway, are turned into rags. But then other things are bundled together and sold to resellers or other thrift stores who can use them. And so that partner, so know that anything that you donate to us is not going to end up in the trash. Even if we can't use it, we are passing it on to somebody else who can.
That's excellent. I was just thinking while we're talking, I would love to do a clothing drive for the wardrobe, and perhaps like the early spring, maybe like March, and we can be a donation site to collect them and then bring them all over to you.
Oh, we would love that. Yeah, we have a whole package that we can send over to anybody who would like to run a drive. If you have even one site, but if you have multiple sites, if you have the public coming in, we can give you some signage and some bins that you can collect things in. The one issue that we have is that we don't offer a pickup service because we don't have trucks.
We have trucks.
Yay, trucks.
We'll kindly drop it off, no problem. We just did a drive Toys for Tots,
Uh-huh.
and we sent it out through marketing and everything. So some people came by who saw that, but a lot of the donations that we got were from neighbors because we had the sign in the window and the
Right.
box there,
Uh-huh.
and tons of people just came in and dropped a toy and they saw it, saw a sign.
That's
It was
awesome.
great. Yeah,
Well, I sometimes think that I can spend my entire day just responding to Facebook posts about what do I do with my clothes. I have clothes, where do I take them? And I can just like cut and paste the wardrobe information in everyone. So I think, any place where we can get the word out that like if you have extra clothes, especially if it's convenient for people, it's in people's neighborhoods, I we're
convenience is everything because
it is.
I have had before clothing and then you have to take it to some place and they're only open at this time, and I don't
Yeah.
remember what happened with it, but then they were supposed to pick it up and nobody picked it up. And anyway,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do think like if
It
you're
can be hard for charities, especially if they're smaller, to
yeah, no doubt.
really have that.
So
So we try and make it very easy. Our sites are open Monday through Saturday, 11 to 6, and you can literally bring your donations in anytime we're open. We even have our tax receipt online. So after you, even before you drop them off, you can fill out the tax receipt if you need that. And yeah, we try and make it really easy. The only thing we can't offer is, pick up close to our locations. Our recycling partner helps you though, if people are watching this in Montgomery County, in some of the areas in Chester County, Bucks County, they will pick up for recycling. And we have that link on our website. So if it's really too far for people to get into Philadelphia or one of our other locations, they can have their items picked up. The clothing won't come to us, but we do earn income, which is the other piece of what we need from people, is financial support from those donations that are picked up by our recycler.
right, it's not 100% free, and you do get grants, but
Yes.
it doesn't cover everything. Did that
No.
come through yet?
Yes. So, what our largest funder is the state of Pennsylvania, the Department of Human Services. We have a grant for returning citizens and also those who are on welfare assistance that was held up by the delay in the fiscal code passage. But they did pass that 2 weeks ago when they were in session. So, that has been. We still don't have any funding coming in through it. So, we're still waiting. But that grant will be offered to us again this year. So that was very exciting. That was a very harrowing few
I'm
months.
sure. I'm
Yeah.
sure. That's
Yeah.
great news, Sheri.
Yes. Yes. It was a good Christmas present for us. We were very happy.
Yeah, I think that having this discussion with you today is at a perfect time with Christmas Eve tomorrow, Christmas Day,
Mhm.
and I got an email from a colleague who works at a bank, and it was wishing happy holiday, something he's sent out to everybody,
Mhm.
but it really brought things into perspective of how fortunate, if you have a home and you have some money in the bank and some money in your wallet, um, and you have, pretty good health, and just broke all these things down. And it really gives perspective of how much, we really do have. And I believe as being a good human that we should be all in contribution and giving back, as much as we can. That's all part of it. So I'm very happy to offer up doing this drive. I think it will be great. I think we'll get some neighborhood people. It'll give my husband and I, too, selfishly, a chance to get rid of all of our stuff that either, we are tired of or doesn't fit anymore.
Right.
Um, I go in my closet and I'm like, oh God, this has to get
I know. I know. Well, you deal with people who are moving, and we moved a few
removing.
years ago. I was explaining to you, and I think I lived for 2 months on a small garment bag worth of clothes, and I was like, this is obviously all I need. Like, I really don't need the two closets full of clothes that I have. Yeah.
No, no, we don't.
No.
I think part of it is something about getting rid of things. It's more psychological.
Hmm.
It's not like we're lazy and we can't pack up stuff in a box or a bag.
Yeah.
It's holding on to that for some reason, a moment in time, your younger years.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, we're very attached to our clothes. We often will hear from people when they drop them off, they want to tell us the story of their clothes, which is great. They've really taken care and everything to it. We had a donor once who was like, she had everything together, like, and pinned to it were little baggies with like, these are the earrings I wear with this suit, and here is the thing.
oh wow,
Very particular. And I felt
and
so
meticulous.
bad knowing that we were just going to pull it all apart, that whole outfit was not going to a person like as she wanted it, but it was great care that she took in giving that to us.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do get attached to not just people but things too,
Right. Right.
right?
Yeah.
I think that this was perfect timing today for this, Sheri. Thank you for giving us the awareness about the wardrobe, and I'm sure that we'll get some more clothes for you, and also shoes. You take
Yes.
shoes? Okay.
Shoes, accessories, outerwear. We're in winter season, so we like to give everyone coats, gloves, hats, scarves. I don't know about you, but I have more hats and scarves. I don't know where they come from. But
Gifts.
yeah, yeah, gifts, exactly. Going through that, somebody gives you a scarf this Christmas season and that you don't need it and doesn't match your coat, just pass it on to us. We won't tell them at all that it was
It's
returned.
okay.
It'll go to a good home.
Yeah, which is most important.
Right.
Well, Sheri, happy holidays to you and your family. Thank you so much for coming on today and sharing about the wardrobe. And I'm sure we will see you. We'll have you on again soon, sometime next year, to touch base on how we did after this wardrobe drive. And
I
we'll
would
talk,
love that.
yeah, and we'll talk about that more in a few weeks.
Wonderful. Thanks
All
so
right.
much.
Thank you. Have a great one.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.